Hello everyone, it's good to see some people in the chat, some familiar faces. Thank you for spending some time with us on DNQ Football today. You join us in the closing stages of Laos versus Singapore, a game that I'm sure Malaysia fans will be enjoying potentially more than Singapore fans. Singapore are winning that game, but this tournament comes down to goal difference more than other international tournaments, I'd say. Laos actually have probably deserved at least a point in this one, really. They've been on top. Singapore on the attack currently, 5 minutes of added time, and in fact they have half a chance to make it 2. They've been poor though, Singapore. That's not meant in a disrespectful way to them, but they've not been as good as you'd expect. And obviously, looking ahead to what that means for this Vietnam-Malaysia game, let me just catch up with the chat. Vietnam, second favourite, yeah, KFR, the Aussie, says Vietnam, second favourite international team. They are an excellent side, and they will fancy themselves to win this. They've played 1-1-1. They beat Laos 6-0, just to kind of give you that perspective. Singapore currently beating Laos 1-0. And there's 4 minutes to go, and Laos do have a chance on the attack, but they've just been wasteful in front of the goal. Ahmed says Vietnam to win 2-1. I fancy something similar to that, I won't lie, something sort of a 3-1, 2-1 type thing. I think Malaysia are good enough to score, but I think that Vietnam will be the stronger team. But and it's good to have the Mats channel here as well. Good morning. Yeah, this is great. I love tournaments in Asia because you can have people, obviously it's the evening time out in Southeast Asia. It's perfectly midday here, almost in the United Kingdom, and of course, you know, anywhere west of the UK, it is the morning as well. Unlike when we watch CONCACAF and Ryan and I have to stay up until like 3 o'clock in the morning. Who do we think will be on the score sheet today? Ollie says it's a tough one. I think for Vietnam, there's so many attackers who can get goals. Huang Doc in particular, and the thing is they just score so many. It's tough to say, but I'm gonna go for a Malaysia scorer. I think I'll go with Lee Tuck or maybe Sergio Aguero off of the bench. You've got to have a soft spot for the nationalised squad that Malaysia do play with. Early prediction from Ryan for 2-0 to Vietnam. 11 PM in Oz and 3 PM in Iraq. So good to see people from around the world here joining us. Thank you so much. Looking ahead to this game, really, this might sound a bit negative, but from a Malaysia perspective, if this score remains 1-0 in this game, I've had a look at it, they can actually afford to lose this game 3-0 today against Vietnam. Oh no, they won't. The keeper's just given it away. Surely it's 2. Oh, that is a howler of a mistake. It's 2-0 to Singapore. The keeper's just given it away, and that changes what I was about to say, because if this finishes now 2-0, which it probably will. What is he doing? Honestly, go and check this out. Terrible goalkeeping mistake. And that changes things, because now Singapore in a slightly better position goal difference wise. So if Vietnam were to beat Malaysia 3-0, Singapore would go above Malaysia on goal difference. And I think that last group game will be crucial, because they play each other, of course, and that is absolutely massive. That goal right there could change how Malaysia potentially set up for this game. They need to not get battered by Vietnam, because they need to be ahead on goal difference of Singapore going into that last game. Of course, it doesn't all come down to this, because Singapore will have to face Vietnam as well. But it's still an important goal in the context of this. Vietnam really could decide the group. Who do you think both of these are Asian Cup? KFR confident that Oz will bring the Asian Cup home again. I absolutely love to see that kind of confidence. I think that both of these teams will do decent in the Asian Cup, actually, whenever it's played, whether that is next summer or it's moved to, what is it supposed to be, Jan 24 potentially, due to the change in who's going to be leading this. I think that you'd expect to see Vietnam do well, and Ryan's just put a comment in there, outside chance for World Cup qualifiers 2026. I think you've got to say they are outside chance. I think the additional spaces will probably go to potentially one of the stronger Middle Eastern sides like Uzbekistan or something like that, who have been improving. But Vietnam definitely an outside shout for that. Of course, they are 96th in the world, so they wouldn't be the lowest ranked sides to ever qualify. And I think they will have half a chance. And Indonesia, I think they'll do well. I've really enjoyed watching Indonesia in this tournament. I was talking about Indonesia, not Malaysia. Sorry, I've gone off topic. I think Indonesia will do well. I was thinking actually about the Under-20s World Cup, which of course is in Indonesia. But from Malaysia, it'll be really interesting to see how they do throughout this tournament, and of course going into the Asian Cup as well, because they're okay. And I mean that in a good way, but they are only okay. They've got quite good squad depth for some of the players they've been able to bring in. They've got, obviously Brendan Gan is legitimately Malaysian. You've also got some nationalised players, obviously with Lee Tuck as well. They've got good players in Stuart Wilkins. And of course they've got some good players that we know that play in the league as well. Safawi, Rashid, Ahmad. They've also got Dominic Tan, who I quite like in that defensive role. They've got a good team, but how far can this side go from the perspective of the Asian Cup? From a Malaysia thing, I think they'll just want to do well today. I think they'll want to get to at least the semis in this group. And I think that if they play well today, that'll be the real statement. This is the first time that anyone of kind of real substance has played against Vietnam. Looking ahead to this game in terms of lineups, I have the lineups here in front of me, and also, sorry, let me just catch Matt's channel. Vietnam, my 8th choice team to qualify. Okay, files. And Arab Cup as well, of course. Ahmad talking about that. We will be touching on that. Hardy, of course, Singapore fan, not happy with the performance. And to be honest, Hardy, I can completely sympathise with that. I thought the performance was poor. I did think that the performance was poor, but the scoreline is important. And Vietnam, of course, need to beat Malaysia by quite the margin. And Ahmad, just going back to that comment, we will be covering the Arab Cup, Arab Gulf Cup, which starts in Jan 23 as well. Really looking forward to that one. We did have crazy high views in OFC Nations Cup. Yes, we did indeed. It's a region that gives us plenty of viewers, but it's great to see lots of people joining us today. Really, really appreciate it. The only thing I don't like about this tournament is I believe that if you're from parts of Asia, parts of where this sort of tournament is taking place, you actually can't watch the match on YouTube. What I would recommend, if you can, is to watch this match on one screen and myself on the other. We will be watching it on YouTube because we're UK based, but it's strange that I think you can't. But anyway, let's get straight on to the lineups. It looks like Vietnam are going to be going with a 3 at the back or 5 at the back system that they have favoured at times. Dang in goal. Do, Ki and Duan at the back. Huang Duc in midfield alongside Do. Nguyen Van Dijk. Ho on the left. And then, because of the way that it's written, Teng Lin up front as well. Alongside, let me write this down so I've got this. Probably be better on Twitter as Google. Here we are. The lineup for Vietnam. Dang Vang Lam, Duang Vang Hao, Do Ki, Ho Tan Tai. So it is a back three with Ho Tan Tai, Do Huang Dung, Wing Tang Chung, and Wing Hang Dok making up the midfield, and then a front line of Wing Tan Lin, Phan Van Duk, and Wing Van Tuan. And for Malaysia, apologies for pronunciation there of some of the Vietnamese names. For Malaysia, they've got Hamzi in goal, Ruven Tiran at the back, Dominic Tan, Nazim making up the defensive line. They're listing it as a back three as well. It'll be interesting to see if they do go with that system or whether or not Azam Azmi will form a back four there, but he will probably play wing back. Brendan Gan, Stu Wilkin, Mukayari, Darren Locke, Lee Tuck, and Faisal Halim. So it will be interesting. Yeah, I'm sorry about the pronunciation. At least I didn't say Nguyen like Ryan did in the preview. At least I'm trying. So bad. I apologise. When is KO? Half an hour. We've got half an hour until kick-off. Which pronunciation did I get the worst would be a good poll to run. Quite a lot of people saying that they feel like Malaysia could win this one. We've got some Malaysia fans. Matt's channel says there's a tournament this year that has Uganda and a few other teams. Is that the Kakafa Cup potentially? Looked into when those are. The trouble is, it's so hard to find on Google or anything like that when these tournaments will be played. It's actually, you know, Twitter is like one of the best places to kind of try and find these. I would argue that for an English person who is just trying his best to pronounce names, I would say that the Vietnamese names are probably the hardest. Probably the hardest. Kickoff is half an hour away. I won't be giving a specific time because different people around different parts of the world will be like, well, no, it isn't 12:30. But in the UK, it's 12:30. But it's half an hour away from right now is all you need to know. Both teams played each other 16 times. Vietnam winning 12-7 at home. Yeah, have a look at this. Last time they played was in the delayed Suzuki Cup. That was a comfortable win for Vietnam. And they played each other in World Cup qualies as well, which was also a Vietnam win. The poll has actually now slightly drifted into the way of Malaysia's favour. I would say that that would be quite a big upset if Malaysia were to win that one. But they do have a chance. I don't think that this game will be like... as much as I love this tournament, I feel bad for teams like Brunei and... Well, I was going to say Laos, but they performed pretty well today. Particularly Brunei, because, you know, it really then comes down to goal difference, and it's whether or not... It's basically who Thailand beats in Group A. Similarly, you know, in Group B, you'd expect that it would come down to goal difference in terms of who Vietnam beat. Malaysia without JDT player is not that great. I do agree it's tough for them. They have a lot of players for Johor that aren't available for this one. It's a difficult tournament because you know it's not a FIFA registered tournament, is it? It sits outside the FIFA window or something like that. So you know there's players for kind of all these teams, particularly like European-based players as well that haven't been released, but also for Malaysia it interrupts their season, so they've got a lot of players who aren't out there as well. So it's going to be challenging. It is going to be challenging for Malaysia, I think, against the better teams. I think as well, you know, with Singapore and kind of Hardy's, you know, Hardy's team, that they had a lot of injuries as well to some of their better attacking players, and I think that sort of levels the playing field actually between Malaysia and Singapore in terms of who's going to get out of this group. I do think it will come down to that game, but it's who's kind of goes in with the best goal difference really, and who goes in a position where they can try and get away with a draw. I actually would say that Singapore looked even shaky at the back today, so I commented this before, but I picked those teams to go to the final. These two sides playing today is that, so a Vietnam-Malaysia final. I think you'd be hard fought to say that that perhaps Thailand wouldn't get to the final, but I like it nonetheless. I think you know if Malaysia can get to the final, that would be an incredible achievement for them. Brunei is the San Marino of SEA, Southeast Asia. Well, honey, if Brunei are the San Marino of SEA, what the hell does that make Timor-Leste? Yeah, I would really like... somebody's commented this. In fact, we had a few comments like this on the preview around should Australia play in this tournament as technically part of the ASEAN region, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. I think that if Australia were to play like an A-League based team rather than bringing in sort of some of the European based players, I think that would be better. You see it in some of the African tournaments, they play like domestic teams rather than bringing players from around the other parts of the world. And I think that helps develop the league, but that would also allow Timor and Brunei to both play in this tournament, and it'd be like a 12-teamer. I'm not saying that the current format's bad. I just think, you know, it's a shame that that Timor or Brunei only get to play that double legger, and of course Brunei winning this time. Ryan puts in, who would win, Brunei versus San Marino? That's so hard. I'd have to say that my argument for San Marino not being that bad weakens with every passing fixture, as they of course failed to beat both the Seychelles and St Lucia twice. But they've not played many sides from, if any, actually. That's a good question to put out there. Have San Marino ever played a team from Asia? That would be really interesting to see. If they ever have. I think that San Marino would beat... No, I think that... Ryan putting in. I think San Marino would beat... what they call Brunei. I also think they beat Timor-Leste. Although I thought that Timor-Leste were unlucky across those games. I thought they were unlucky across those games as well. So where are we? We're 25 minutes away from kickoff. Ahmed says Vietnam versus Indonesia final. I really like these kind of different kind of finals. We were a bit boring on our preview, arguably, and said, look, it's just going to be a Vietnam-Thailand final. I said Thailand would win. Ryan said that Vietnam would win. I think that it's kind of fair to say that that's what everyone expects, and it's down to sides like Malaysia, like Indonesia, like Singapore as well, to really try and upset the apple cart. It's really interesting as well, I find, that actually Cambodia aren't part of a sort of qualification region. I know they beat the Philippines, but it's interesting to see that it's always kind of Brunei versus Timor. It must be done on rankings to see who's kind of drops into that early playoff game. But Cambodia they're a level above Brunei and Timor, but not that much, although they have been improving under, what's his name? Ketsuki Honda as well. International Super Cup. Asian winners versus AFCON winners. You know what? There should be more kind of tournaments like that, actually, for... Because what do? They do that tournament between the winners of the UEFA... what's it called? Euros. Simple as that. And, of course, the Copa America as well. But it would be good to see some of these... do they do a tournament in Asia for kind of all of these, like the SAF Championship and the AFF? Do they do that where they then play against each other? Because that would be really good to see. Because, like Ahmed says, we got to see that Argentina versus Italy as well. I think it'd be really good to see more kind of regional-based tournaments then go head-to-head in a bit of a Super Cup kind of tournament. I think that would be really good. And it'd be really good in Asia as well, because there's so many smaller regions. And they could, of course, incorporate, potentially, the OFC into that as well, with Papua New Guinea coming out on top of that MSG Prime Minister's Cup. It would be really good to see Papua New Guinea versus someone of the quality of, say, Thailand. Or even an Indonesia, someone like that. I think that would be really, really interesting to see. We don't see enough games like that, in my opinion. If you do want to access the live match as it's happening, we have pinned the comment where you can find the AFF Mitsubishi Electric Cup YouTube channel. I am aware that some people from the region can't access it, which means you have to stay here with us. I'm terribly sorry. But do dual screen it if you can. I'll be talking through the game as it happens. Now the poll is 57% in the favour of an away win for Malaysia here. I just think a few of you are maybe a bit too psyched about the fact that Malaysia have Sergio Aguero. But he is on the bench today, as it will be Darren Lock and Lee Tuck leading the line. I'm going to open up an interesting question to the chat here. Not sure how many people we've got on from this region, but how do we feel about the nationalisation of players? I'm not against it as a concept as a whole, and I think, you know, Sergio Aguero lives in Malaysia, has lived in Malaysia for a long time. His kids were born in Kuala Lumpur. I watched an interview of his speaking about that recently. But of course he is from Argentina. His name is Sergio Aguero. And of course, you know, we see this as well. I had some comments from Philippines fans. They were unhappy with the team performance and sort of pointed towards the fact that actually off the back of their success in years gone by, they didn't really invest in grassroots and instead looked to nationalising players from other countries to try and bolster their squads. And there was lots of players that I saw, certainly last time. I haven't seen too much of the Philippines this time, but certainly last time, where it was quite clear that it was a slim Filipino connection, if any. And how do we think, you know, how do we feel about that across? I suppose, from my opinion, I don't mind it. I don't mind the nationalisation of players if there is still also investment in grassroots. If you can nationalise some players to get success now and then use the success to really invest in grassroots so that local players can develop and the local leagues can develop, I think that we can then get to a point where, you know, we kind of get the best of both worlds. Because I'm not against it if it improves the quality, but I think that what we do need to see is that doubling up. Hardy's in the chat. Singapore started doing it. Some people were unhappy. Now looking at the other teams doing it, having these players helps the overall football quality. I think that's kind of the point, really. Is actually, if you look at it now, and it's a kind of smattering of players that have played in the leagues for a long time. There are still rules around it. It's not like they can just turn around to someone who's never even lived in that country or represented that country in any way and go, "We'll play you, please." You know, these are players that still, they certainly feel like they can represent the country. I think that it is fine if it improves the quality, but what I wouldn't want to see is it become a kind of trend that leads to disinvestment and lower quality of the leagues within the nation as a whole. I think if you look at the Singapore team, you know, I really like the Singapore team actually. All right, they've not performed that well. They've got a few injuries, but they have a really good side. But I think it's not quite worked for the Philippines, and I think some people are quite kind of unhappy about the fact that they've not seen too much reinvestment in the squad, and they're kind of relying on this constant train of almost transferring players in from other nations. I don't know the specifics. But I've seen a lot of comments around it, so it's interesting to get people's thoughts. But I do agree, if it improves the quality right now, then that is certainly not a bad thing. Because we do need to see a gradual improvement in quality in SEA, which I think we have. If I'm honest, I do think we have. Now, I put in quite it's not talking, Neil Etheridge. Yeah, Philippines main goalie, I know. I always quite liked that. Before we even did DNQ, when we used to play Ultimate Team, and you had a Philippines goalkeeper, kind of before there was any real players of some of the smaller nations on the world stage. It was always cool to see Etheridge having that Philippines flag on Ultimate Team. He was he's of course the main keeper, and he's a great keeper as well. He's a really good shot stopper. Now, my other kind of key question as we slowly bubble towards kickoff. Etheridge was class for Cardiff in the Premier. He was a very good keeper. Yeah, for about a season. But he still had a very, very good professional career. My question, which I was watching one of the games on the main YouTube channel for the Mitsubishi Electric Cup, and I put a comment in that received some backlash, that most teams from SEA, not including Brunei and not including Timor-Leste, no disrespect to them, would beat most teams from the CONCACAF region. I think that was taken as I think that Indonesia would beat the USA. That's not what I'm saying. But I personally feel, I've watched these games and I've watched the CONCACAF Nations League, the quality of the Asian footballers that are represented at this tournament is far, far better than some of the quality that I saw in the Nations League. And that is a pro for this region, not a con for CONCACAF. I'd like to make that clear. But you look at it, there is no way. So say take 6 teams. Take Vietnam, Thailand, Singapore, Philippines, Indonesia, Malaysia. They're your 6 from SEA. They would be, I think, a lot of Nations League B and Nations League C in CONCACAF. That's just my opinion. Not all of Nations League B, but I think a fair few. And I think that if you don't watch CONCACAF football, you might think, oh no, we're sort of not very good as like say Singapore. Oh, you know, we don't kind of get to the World Cup qualifiers. We don't get that far. We don't get that far in this tournament. We're improving, but we're not that great. I still think that they're a very good side compared to some of the CONCACAF teams, is my honest opinion. Hardy says, just look at the number of AFF teams qualified for the Asian Cup. More than what I expected last couple of Asian editions. I think that the quality is improving. I think that you can see that. I mean, it's not just Vietnam. Obviously, Vietnam probably the strongest side, but it's not just them. You look at the overall quality and what Shin Tae-yong has done at Indonesia, for example, and that Malaysian league with JDT obviously kind of dominating. But still, you know, it's the overall quality of that region is very much improving. Ryan says, sounds like DNQ need to create a tournament to put this theory to the test. Well, what we need you to do to make that happen is drop a like on this video, because every like will slowly creep towards DNQ being able to create and facilitate an international tournament. Wouldn't that just be incredible? Now, I haven't actually had the goal lights on yet. Should we test if they're working? Should we test if the goal lights are on? They are on. So if there are goals, you will see the lights. And I will get temporary blurred vision. The Match channel was at the World Cup. Oh, I'm jealous of that. What games did you get to see? What was the best game that you got to see? Oh man, it's very angry at most of the refs in most tournaments. I do think that, that the overall quality of refereeing has been quite poor across a lot of international tournaments, to be honest. And I think that this one's not been too bad. I tell you what, the ref earlier today in the previous game was quite good, quite authoritative, and the ref in the World Cup final was also very, very good. But nonetheless, I do agree the overall quality of refereeing is extremely, extremely poor. The goal lights are here. We're not going to do 1 like equals goal lights, because we're very, very grateful that actually there seems to be a fair few people watching this one, so really grateful to everyone who's watching. Do drop a like. If you're new here, come say hi in the chat. Ahmed saw Argentina-France final. That is incredible. What a game that was. Even fantastic to watch from home. But do come say hi if you're here for the first time. It's great to have you with us. We won't do 1 like equals goal lights yet, but I tell you what, we'll do goal lights if we can get to 20 likes, and you can get the goal lights for free, even without a goal. But I'm anticipating some goals yet. Match channel. I was at the stadiums for England versus Iran, England versus Ghana versus Uruguay, England, Senegal. So got to see every confederation too. That's fantastic. That is absolutely fantastic. Some great games in there. You got to see some great goals as well, particularly in England versus Iran, the goal through. And also that Ghana versus Uruguay game was an absolute classic as well. That was great to see, the grudge match as it was between those sides. We are just less than 15 minutes away from kickoff. I'm looking at a packed stadium here. If you do want to watch the match live, we do appreciate that you've been with us up until now. Do stay with us, do dual screen if you can, if you prefer my commentary. But the commentary team is, I will say, very, very good for this tournament as well on the YouTube channel. But there is the link pinned as well, the pinned comment. And do vote in the poll. We've had 66 votes, and people are fancying Malaysia. And Sura Mitro has said, is that a Turks and Caicos jersey of Billy Forbes, man of culture? It is a signed Billy Forbes jersey from when he was at Austin Bold. This one here, We also have a Marvin Hamilton shirt from Sri Lanka that he gifted to us, and a gift from Ryan to me a number of years ago, this match-worn Bambang Pamungkas shirt. Bambang, what a player he was. One of my favourites, actually. If people can remember the FIFA 2010 and 2014 World Cup games, me and my brother and my friends used to play that game all the time. And Hui Kim is here as well. Great to have you back as well. Great to see some of the familiar faces, and great to see some new faces in the chat as well. Great to have you here on DNQ Football. Really looking forward to this game. But yeah, we used to play those old FIFA games, and Billy Forbes and the Turks and Caicos Islands was where I first sort of played, 2010, 2014. I've got a couple of Turks and Caicos Islands shirts there. I've got a few on the rack here as well. This one, Turks and Caicos Islands shirt. I've got some really cool shirts actually from international teams. But Bambang Pamungkas on FIFA 2014, the World Cup game, was a bloody insane player because he had 4-star skills. So yeah, I absolutely love Bambang. But unfortunately my friends worked out that every time I got the ball within my shot, so it's quickly ended for me. But it's still a great shirt nonetheless. And we've got some good ones here. We've got some from this region as well. As you can see here, the Myanmar shirt from a couple of years ago. Really want to get more international shirts, try and collect more from particularly this region, because there's some lovely shirts on display here. I really like the Malaysia shirt from a few years ago. Not sure I love the kind of latest one. Who's qualifying from the playoffs from the Women's World Cup? That's actually such a good question. I don't know who is in the playoffs for the Women's World Cup. I've been so Lioness focused when it comes to women's football. But we will be covering it next summer, next July, the Women's World Cup. And we will also be doing some coverage as well of the Under-20s World Cup, which is in Indonesia. Really looking forward to that. Obviously Indonesia playing because of hosting. And also Fiji have qualified for the Under-20s World Cup as well. So really looking forward to the Under-20s World Cup next year. The AFF Mitsubishi Electric Cup 2022. This massive game in Group B is just 10 minutes away. We're going to take an extremely short break, but then we will be back for the build-up and, of course, the game itself. We will see you very soon. 5 minutes to go, 7 minutes to go, but 5 minutes to go till some of the national anthems for Vietnam and Malaysia. Really looking forward to this one. Thank you so much for sticking with us. It's great to see so many people here with us. We've got 62% Malaysia going to win in the poll. 106 votes, and only 25% of you think that Vietnam are going to win. That is a big, big statement, I must say. The teams come out now. Can I just say, I've said it on Twitter, and if you don't follow us on Twitter, do head over. It's just at DNQ Football, same for Instagram. It's fantastic to see Brendan Gann back on the pitch after his battle with cancer. It's fantastic to see him back. Oh, I don't know, there's something about Vietnam. I just find them almost scary to watch as they step out. They're such a good team, but a lot of people fancying an upset in this one. We're now to 110 votes. And we're almost at 20 likes on the video as well. And when that happens, you get some goal lights for free. It's excellent to have so many of you with us as we are about to have the national anthem of Vietnam. I love that red kit as well. The collar and everything's fantastic. Oh, this cup of tea's hot. Packed out stadium, fantastic to see as well. Absolutely fantastic to see. Did we have crowds at the last one? We did, didn't we? But it was only in one location. National anthem for Malaysia. You have to credit the players such as kind of Lee Tuck and players like that. We were talking earlier about naturalization of players. He is singing the national anthem as well, which is good. You do see some players kind of nationalised who just kind of turn up and play. Ryan's put a comment in. Can we talk about the evergreen Tirasil Dangda, by the way? Well, Tirasil, what a player he is. Continues to bang goals at this tournament. Alif says it's going to be Vietnam 0, Malaysia 100. If I were you, I would put a bet on that, because if that comes through, you will be gutted that you didn't. An optimistic Malaysia fan, to say the least. 65% of you in the poll fancying an away win for Malaysia. Yeah, Tirasil Dangda scored 2 again the other day. I think he got an assist for Adisak's goal as well. He is just a phenomenal, phenomenal player, and will go down as one of the best players ever from this region, with the exception perhaps of that Malaysian striker whose name I'm going to forget. Someone will be able to tell me in the chat. That Malaysian striker that's scored like hundreds of goals. Top ever international goal scorers. Someone will probably put it in the chat before I get there. Oh, Alif, I thought you were being serious. I thought that you fancied it. Where is it? Malaysia. Mokhtar Dahari, yes, with the exception of him and his 89 international goals. But it's kind of interesting to see. I'm just scrolling down now. I wonder how many international goals total Tirasil has got. It's probably a way off, actually. Let's find out, shall we? Because he's got 22 in this tournament now. As we listen to the national anthem of Vietnam. Tirasil Dangda, 34 years of age, got 2 goals and 1 assist in his last game. Still scores goals for fun. And of course, quite interestingly, 2007 to 2008 played for Manchester City. There's a bit of trivia knowledge for you. And internationally, he has scored 58 in 118. So that is quite high. 58. Where does that put him then? Let's just look at this, because if I now know that it's 58, I'll be able to find it. 58. He is now 29th in the all-time international top scorers chart. The lineups have come out. I'm not going to repeat them because I could offend some Vietnamese people who I just can't pronounce their names. I'm terribly sorry. I did try earlier, but it went so poorly. But Ten Lin and Huang Doc are the players to watch out for, I would say. It looks like it is going to be that famous 3-4-3 system that they play. Sort of a back five as well, you know, operating as wing backs. Very good team, very good team. They're one of the kind of main teams really where actually it probably is their first team lineup, you know, all the way through. There's not much, there's not really many other players that they would have expected to be in that side that aren't. But the Malaysia team, I think players to watch out for, you know, there'll be some key players tested. I think that back line will be tested. It looks like a similar system with the five at the back with Azam and Mukhtari playing on the wing-back roles. Faisal, Darren Lock and Lee Tuck as a kind of front three behind that. Sergio Aguero, the key player to watch out for on the bench, of course. Will there be an Aguero-type moment? I know the commentators have enjoyed his contributions so far. Have we got to 20 likes? Can we do goal lights? We're on 19, we need one more. One more like for goal lights if you're watching now. I'm going to watch that 20th like hopefully come in and then you can get a taste of what the goal lights will look like. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. It's not yet updated, so you may... Oh, there it is! And this is what you will see if there is a goal to report in this game. Thank you to everyone who has watched. So far, kickoff is moments away. In fact, it should have started now, to be honest. The Mitsubishi Electric Cup. I'd say this is not the first big game, because I think that Thailand versus Philippines was expected to be a big game. But I would say that this is a bigger game than that, because the Philippines, I would say, are not... They've just not done well, have they? That's not meant disrespectfully, but that 4-0 really, that wasn't a contest in the end. Whereas Malaysia will be hoping, as 65% of you in the 176 votes that there have been, are expecting something different. They are expecting a Malaysia win, or at least a draw. In fact, only 24% of people fancying the Vietnam win, and the game gets underway. Malaysia kicking from left to right, based on my view. It'll be interesting to see how Vietnam and how Malaysia set up for this one. I think you can expect a little bit more counter-attacking from Malaysia, as Vietnam early play the ball through, but that runs through to the goalkeeper between the sticks as well. So I tell you what I really love about this region is the energy that you see from all the kind of players involved. Yeah, Aguero and Hakimi both playing at this tournament is very, very enjoyable, I must say. I would like an Aguero moment in one of the games. I think it would be a bigger moment in that Singapore game, because that might decide who kind of goes through. And of course he did get his goal, Sergio Aguero. It wasn't quite an Aguero moment because of the size of their win, but still, nonetheless. Vietnam, it definitely feels like a home game for them every time they're on the ball. It was similar with the Laos game earlier as well. Every time they're on the ball, it feels like the crowd gets behind them. Even if they're in their own half, they feel like they're building something. I do expect this to be quite an open game, actually. I don't think that Malaysia will look at this and go, let's just try and park the bus. I think they'll accept that the quality of Vietnam is such that if you allow them all the ball and just try and defend, they will eventually break you down. And they've got quality to score from distance as well. So, it looks like a high press as well. I think that's what the five at the back can give you, certainly in the wide positions. It's interesting to see both teams going with a similar system. That's a lovely bit of play from Vietnam. Is that an overcooked pass? It looks like it might be. Yes, and it is going to be a throw into Malaysia down in the corner. But a little bit of quality there from Vietnam, a little bit of quality from the home side. Just 2 minutes into this game already. Oh, but the throw-in's given away. Poor. And Vietnam on the ball again. Good play and the first free kick for this game. Good defending from the Malaysian. See, I like this Malaysia kit actually. I do like this Malaysia kit, but I don't like the black. I don't like the black kit. I don't think it looks good. The Vietnam kit though, it is quite nice. The football is just so expansive and so aggressive in this region. So fast-paced, and alright, sometimes the quality might be lacking from certain teams, but they do just attack. It's really pure football. As Malaysia come forward here, but that's eventually snuffed out. I think that's why you get so many goals in this region. Because even sides like Timor-Leste and Brunei, they don't sit back and defend. We saw Laos attacking just as much as Singapore in the last game. Maybe at some point we'll see a little bit more tactical discipline from one of the teams if a manager comes in and tries to sort it out, but I don't really want to see that. I want to see these teams really attack like they do. Long ball played over the top from the free kick, and it's a goal kick to Malaysia. Come and say hi if you are watching. Drop something in the chat. Who are you backing for this one? We're over 200 now people who have been in the poll, and 67% of people fancying that Malaysia win. Little bit of ping pong here. Ball just up in the air. Bit scruffy. Vietnam will be hoping to get the ball down soon. So I think there was 3 or 4 headers in a row there, without side really being able to get full control. 4 minutes in here. Ball back with the Vietnamese keeper. Good pass out from him to the right wing back position. And now Vietnam will look to come forward, and the crowd immediately perks up. Ball delivered into the box, headed away. Ball recovered though by Vietnam. And will they come forward again? See, now in this position it does look a little bit more... Oh, that's a good ball over the top. Oof, nearly for Vietnam there. It does look a little bit more like Malaysia are just sitting off a little bit when Vietnam are in a position to get some passes together. It's been a good start to this game. Good energy. Both sides setting up quite aggressively. Ball back to the Vietnamese keeper once more. He goes direct this time. Don't think they're going to get too much luck in the air. Long ball over the top. That could cause a little bit of trouble. That's a free kick, is it? Surely. Yes, it is. Lucky there, Faisal doing really well, the captain for Malaysia. Just a long ball over the top. Wasn't dealt with defensively. And Faisal just skips past his man. For me, that's a yellow card. Let me double check if there's contact. Can't really tell from that angle, but I think that that should have been a yellow card. But nonetheless, it is a free kick to Malaysia. This is where you'd want Safawi really taking this one. Looks like Lee Tuck might be over this one. The Malaysian goalkeeper just setting up his wall. The magic spray comes out. It's not the biggest wall you've ever seen. No, it's not Lee Tuck. It's Stuart Wilkin over this one. I don't think he'll go for goal here. What is it? It must be 18. It must be a good, probably 30 yards out. 28, 30 yards out, this one. I don't think that he will go for goal. I tell you what, there's half a chance that he will. Wilkin, he does go for goal, but that just hits the wall. Recovered there by Tuck, and Wilkin now dispossessed. Advantage played to Vietnam as they come forward on the counter-attack. Doesn't look like they'll be able to get past, but they do win a throw-in. Lee Tuck, your new favourite Malaysia player. I do quite like Lee Tuck. I do quite like Lee Tuck as well. I think Brendan Gann's probably one of my favourite Malaysia players in truth. I would like to see a European League club see that Asian 23 sort of talented players. Yeah, I think that some European teams should look for this reason. Safawi did go to a Portuguese team, but didn't get too much game time there. Ilias in the chat, hi mate, where can we watch this? The pinned comment should be a link to the actual live match on the AFF YouTube channel, but some regions can't view it, so you might have to do a VPN job on that one. But I think that you should be able to watch it, Ilias, to be honest. I think it's just the Asian nations that randomly can't, which seems strange. I think it would be good to see some more SEA players. There's certainly the quality here. I think that there's issues sometimes with work permits because for the UK you have to have certain work permits, but for other European teams I think it would be good. I think, you know, some of these teams aren't high enough ranked. It's half a chance for Malaysia as they progress on the counter-attack. The switch is on. Vietnam a little bit stretched here. Here's the chance, they're into the box, there's a chance at goal, but it's over the bar. No worries, Ilias, hope you enjoy the match, my friend. 25% Vietnam, 10% draw, 65% Malaysia, and that was the first chance that we saw for Malaysia to progress with the ball. Ultimately the shot was skied high over the bar, but nonetheless it's a chance, and it's a sign to Vietnam, don't get caught out on that counter-attack. We do pack a punch. Looks like the goalkeeper's going to go direct here again. Doesn't look like they're taking any chances playing it short out of the back. They do go direct, and again we're into sort of head tennis here. As Brendan Gann hooks the ball forward. The ball now eventually touches the floor again. But I tell you what, it's Malaysia who come away with the ball, and they look to... Oh, it's a good ball through. Oh no, it's just going to run through to the keeper. Flag was up anyway. But actually they're winning the second balls at the minute, Malaysia. They are winning the second balls, and it's quite a high press, forcing Vietnam to go long. I'm sure this is part of a game plan to say, let's not let them get the ball down. Let's not let them play out from the back as they go long again, and Malaysia win it again and pick up the second ball. Good work though by Vietnam to win it back right on the centre of the park, and they come forward here. There's space out on the left if they can see it. They haven't done as yet. Looks like they're going to switch it over this way now. Yes, they do. Out to the left-hand side. Ball into the box. I think the keeper probably could have come and claimed that. It's a corner. It's kind of out of nothing, actually. Tuck probably could have hooked that one out for a throw-in rather than a corner, but it is a corner to Vietnam nonetheless. Where's my thoughts? South Sudan, under-20s and under-17s qualifying for the respective AFCON. I think it's absolutely fantastic to see South Sudan qualifying for those tournaments. I think... Do we know when under-20s and under-17s AFCON are? Because we need to get those in the DNQ calendar. Corner comes in from Vietnam. It's low and it's driven. It doesn't quite beat the first man. Can Malaysia get this clear? There was half a chance of a counter-attack there, but they've not managed to work it. It's a prodded effort at goal, but that is the first save for the Malaysia keeper, and it's an easy one, if I'm honest. Oh, that's fantastic, Ahmed, that you got to see the family at the World Cup. It's always interesting to see actually what teams get far in World Cups based on where the World Cup is based, and obviously North African side of Morocco getting to the semi-final was fantastic to see. They were absolutely brilliant in that tournament. I'm sure that they can hopefully push on from that. Fast-paced but lacking a touch of quality at the moment, this game. Certainly from Vietnam, because Malaysia are working hard and they're playing pretty well. They haven't allowed Vietnam to get the ball down. Maybe 65% of you knew something that I didn't. I'm sure there'll be plenty of Singapore fans watching this game as well, worried based on their earlier performance despite their 2-0 win. Free kick to Vietnam, just inside the Malaysia half. Another chance for them to swing the ball in. Brendan Gann criticised that one. The under-20s is February 19th to the 11th of March. Let me write that down. Under-20s AFCON. Be good to keep tabs on that. It's always a good sign of what's to come in the next few years, isn't it, in terms of who qualifies for tournaments. That's Feb 19 to March 11. Ball comes forward. It's a good ball to the back post. But nobody's in the box as it's headed back across there from Vietnam. The clearance isn't great. Oh, now here come Malaysia. What can they do? They burst away. Not sure who's on the ball here. Can they win a foul? They do. Really good play again. Oh, that was Stuart Wilkins. Did really well there. Really good play again from Malaysia. The way that they've tried to counter-attack there. Now Malaysia have a chance to deliver, and I think they've got a slight height advantage. Not enormous, but a slight height advantage here. They don't have players such as Corbin Ong, who's a big fella, but Lee Tuck is going to deliver this one. Not a great ball, right to the back post, comfortably headed away, but Malaysia's still going forward here. Fazal has allowed that one to run out for a throw-in, not allowing himself to be caught out on the counter-attack. Tell you what, the high press from Malaysia is working really well here. This has been a test. Oh, it's half a chance. Ball in behind. Can Lee Tuck try and worm something away here? It's a goal kick in the end. But I'll tell you what, it's been a good start by Malaysia. It's been a really good start by Malaysia. Only 9% of you backing the draw. Over 300 votes, which is fantastic to see. It's great to have so many of you watching. If we hit 30 likes, I think we'll get some more goal lights out. But I do think that we'll see some goal lights in the game here. We'll have a little party if we get to 30 likes. So don't forget to hit that like button. It's great to have you all with us for this game. Who are you supporting? Who are you backing? Make sure that you are in the chat as well for this one. And make sure that you get your vote in that poll. We're currently at 337 votes, which is huge. So really appreciate each and every one of you for viewing. Here's a chance. Here's a chance. I tell you what, I really like Fazal. He needs to make something of himself here. He's playing a little bit kind of further forward than you see him sometimes. It's Ryan's put in there. He's put in a few things. Goal lights need to be accompanied by the robot. I think that's only fair enough. If we get to 30 likes, you can have a little bit of a pop and lock. And Ryan thought that that Vietnam would fly out of the traps. And Ahmed said, I'm surprised Malaysia's so good. They've certainly started the better, I'd say. In this first 15 minutes, I think they've been the better team as they progress again. Can they do anything, though? Darren Lock just losing out there. I think they do lack a little bit of a central forward figure. I don't think that Darren Lock is bad, but I do think that sometimes they just need a little bit more in that central forward position. Good ball forward. They're in a really good position here. The ball needs to be set back to Lee Tuck so that he can deliver. It is set back to Lee Tuck. What can he do now? Can he get something in the box? He goes with his left. Goes to the back post. Half a chance. Cleared away. Out to the left wing back. Will he take a strike at goal here? Yes, he will. Cleared away comfortably. But I tell you what, it's all Malaysia right now. Vietnam back, parked in their own box. They've played so well. Ball played in. What they need to watch out for here, though, Malaysia, is that counter-attack. Ball now played back to their own keeper. And he's faced up by two Vietnamese forwards as they press further forward. Maybe Mjolnir can make an appearance. If we get to 50 likes, I'll get my replica Thor hammer and start swinging it around with goal lights. Ball played forward. This shouldn't be too problematic. Ooh, is that not a... I tell you what, the ball's rolling back to the goalkeeper there. For Vietnam, the ball's played through by Malaysia. It's just rolling back to the keeper, and out of nowhere, the defender really forces his arm into the Malaysia forward. I would say that that's a foul. It's outside of the box, right? I've got to see this again. But they're just letting the ball go back to the keeper. I think that's a penalty. I think that's a pen. I've got to be honest. He's making no attempt to play the ball. He goes direct with the arm. Is that not a... I need some thoughts on that in the chat. For me, alright, might be outside the box. That's the only bone of contention. He goes with the arm here. If there's VAR in this tournament, which I know there isn't, that's a pen. That's a pen. How many countries ranked lower than 50th have you been to? Been to Qatar. Where are UAE ranked? Been to UAE. Let me see the FIFA rankings. Not that many, I wouldn't say, I don't think. outside of the top 50. But there's some weird teams that sneak into the top 50. Like I've been to Norway, but they're 43rd, which is strange. UAE counts. UAE's outside. Right, let's go to it. Right, I'm on page 2 now. We'll go through it. So there's a breaking play. I would have said that is... I would say that's a penalty, to be honest. In my opinion, that's a pen. Where have we been to? Greece! Ranked 51. I've been to Greece. Where else have I been? Qatar, 60. God, there's not that many of these. I've been to UAE, 70. Someone's quick on it. Where else have I actually been? Ryan's been to Bahrain, ranked 85. I've not been, but Ryan has. That's what I've been to. I'd love to go to more and more places. I don't think there's going to be anywhere outside that. I'm now into past 100. I don't think there's going to be any that I've been to outside of the top 100. And that's where I need to be going. That's DNQ Prime territory. I definitely want some trips to some of these smaller nations next year, because there's plenty in and around actually the UK, even if I'm not able to go kind of further afield. So why I went to Qatar actually was to see those OFC teams, because I may not get the chance. Vietnam play the ball forward. That's a better free kick in attacking position. Ball headed back into the box, but again they don't pick up the second ball, and that is going to comfortably be a goal kick for Malaysia. Match channel. Been to Romania, Finland, Estonia and Qatar, hoping to visit Uganda and Kenya in July. Yeah, I've only been to one African country, which is Morocco, obviously a very good side. I've actually only, and that's very, very North Africa. Similar kind of climate to... Oh, I have been to... Actually, that is a very, very good point. Technically, I've been to Gibraltar. Technically, I've been to Gibraltar. As I've landed there on my way to Spain. So that's a very good shout. That must be the lowest ranked team, lowest ranked nation I've been to. Here's a chance! Oh, good interplay from Vietnam, but they don't manage to get a shot away at goal. They're in the box here. First half chance! Ooh! Smashed away, smashed away. I reckon Norway can qualify. Spain, Cyprus, Georgia, Scotland. Yeah, I think Norway could qualify from that group, if I'm honest. With the quality that they've got, Martin Odegaard, Erling Haaland, I think they should qualify. That was the first real chance, I'd say, for Vietnam. Just a sort of smashing effort, comfortably wide, really, in the end. But yes, I have been to Gibraltar. I'd like to go to... Oh! Have I been to Andorra? No, I've not actually officially been to Andorra, but I would like to go to Andorra, Liechtenstein, Luxembourg, countries like that. Because they're not actually too far away from me, really, in the UK. There's kind of no excuses. Morocco's nice. Unfortunately, I went to Morocco in 2018, and the week that I went, the weather was actually better in England than it was in Morocco, which was unfortunate. It was during the World Cup in 2018. So I didn't actually get to watch any of England's good run in the 2018 World Cup with my friends. I came back and watched the Croatia game when we got knocked out. So it wasn't the greatest summer of my life, but nonetheless, I think it would be good to... I suppose you could go to South Africa and then go into Lesotho and Eswatini, etc. Malaysia have the ball with their goalkeeper. It is a free kick for offside. $20 minutes in this game, 21 minutes in. And that is offside, it's a good decision. And I think that it's been a pretty even game. I would say that Malaysia's still just edging it, but they've given the ball away there in their own position. I see, there's loads of space out this way. Well, they've gone for a long-range effort there, Vietnam, and they really didn't need to. They had loads of times. That Ten Lin, I think, with the pop shot, did not need to do that, in my opinion. Bit of a waste of an effort. I went to Iceland, I think, 50 or 60 or something. Yeah, see, I'd love to go to Iceland as well. Ollie says the Baltic states aren't too far, 130s, 140s. That's so true. You'd be surprised how lowly ranked some of the Baltic states actually are. It was quite... Oh, here's half a chance. A defensive mistake. And Locke is on the ball. He's made his way into the box, and that's going to be a corner to Malaysia. You can understand, just based off of my sort of sporadic commentary, how end-to-end this is. Pop shot for Vietnam at one end. Moments later, there's now a corner for Malaysia. I don't think we've seen too many set-piece goals in this tournament, have we? I don't think we've seen too many. Lee Tuck going out to take this one. Tell you what, the athleticism of some of these players is absolutely crazy. We're one like away from goal lights and the robot. Don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe whilst you're here as well. Fantastic to have so many people watching along for this one. Are they going to take a short corner here? No, ball whipped in. It's a decent ball. It's ghosted its way through to the back post, and goal lights have come in, which means the Pop and Lock. Will we preempt goal lights with a goal? Still on the attack here, Malaysia. No, doesn't look like it. Doesn't look like it. The robot gets better every 10 likes. Just watched it back. I've got a slight delay on my screen, so I can only apologise for those dance moves. No goals yet. We're 24 minutes into this game now. That was probably a decent chance, actually, for Malaysia from the set piece. I think they've got to do a little bit better there with that. It's not a bad ball in, but they just need to do a little bit more, I'd say. Ball back with the Vietnamese keeper. I really expected them to start a little bit better here, actually, Vietnam. They've done a bit poor, but I think you just got to credit Malaysia for their efforts so far. They've quietened down the crowd immediately. It's unlikely to be that 100-0 that we were looking for, but maybe there's a chance that 67% of you in the chat on the poll are actually 100% right with your guesstimate of a Malaysia away win. It would be groundbreaking if they could get it. They sweep the ball forward. That's, oh, I tell you what, it's a really good ball into Locke. It's a poor header from him, but he picks up the second ball himself. That ball's out to Lee Tuck. The run comes from Azam further forward. They don't play it. Instead, Lee Tuck goes to deliver the ball in, and it's flicked away for another set piece and another corner to Malaysia. Good play down that right-hand side. NEQ or DNQ Doha style trips planned for the new year. We've not officially got anything planned, but we do want to see what fixtures and what tournaments we could travel to next year. And we do want to get a bit more involved in 2026 World Cup qualifiers, and the World Cup itself in 2026. A long way off, but you can be part of DNQ's journey to 2026, starting in 2022-2023. Lee Tuck here delivers the corner. It's a good ball, but it's a good header away as well. Drops to Azam, and he just is dispossessed there. That's a great tackle, though, from the captain. Faisal gets the ball back. Here's half a chance. Oh, it's a shot, a pop shot, just wide. Hi, back from dinner. Which team been better? Well, you'd be surprised to know that actually it's the away side who have been better, in my opinion. Uganda playing Algeria in June. Yeah, see, that would be cool. That kind of trip. You can kind of just tell the missus, look, I've seen this really nice place we can go. And then before you know it, you're watching footy. Lots of places I want to visit next year. Ball swept forward by Vietnam, but they've lost the ball again. So far, it says that Vietnam have had 6 attempts, 1 on target. Malaysia, 3 attempts, none on target. But I would say most of those shots from Vietnam have been from a long way out. They've not really caused any kind of danger. I think that the interplay in and around the box from Malaysia has been better, and they've certainly been better at getting the ball back. I think a lot of people were potentially expecting more of a counter-attacking performance from Malaysia here, but they've certainly been the aggressor in this game, which has been quite interesting to see. See, honestly, the high press is exceptional. Ball swung forward, but this is the danger. Oh, if they'd have just played that a bit quicker, they'd have had half a chance there, Vietnam. There's gaps. There's gaps that appear, but what you see is actually, instead of I can probably draw this better than I can describe it. As Malaysia come forward again. That's good play, and they're with Lee Tuck now in an advanced position, but the ball's just got away from him. Let me show you what is happening here. So with a traditional 5 at the back, How good is this actually going to look? Can you see that? With a traditional 5 at the back and this system of the 3, let me just hold that up there, with the 3 with the 4 in front of it, it's normally the wing backs that tuck back in this position. But what Malaysia are doing, which is quite interesting, is actually those wing backs aren't coming back to form a back 5. It's actually Brendan Gann who is pushing in and forming a back 4 like that. So these two centre-backs go wide and Brendan Gann drops into that central position to form a back 4, which is a really interesting tactic actually that they're employing in this one, rather than the traditional back 5. No, the attendance for this game is really good. It's really good to see. Vietnam with a corner here. First real chance from a set piece from them, and they win the ball in! And it's a goal! Against the run of play, it is a goal for Vietnam. The corner comes in, I must say. It's a fantastic header. And it's a good goal. And on 28 minutes, it is a goal. Incredible. Absolutely incredible for them. Ten Lin, I said before the game, he was a player to watch out for. Win Ten Lin. It's a great, I tell you what, they've been on the back foot. They've been on the back foot, but they've got that set piece. I said actually, Malaysia got the height advantage, and across the board they probably do. But it's a fantastic ball in. Let's just watch this again. The corner is in. It's to the near post. I tell you what, it's a good header. Down into the ground. Is it ball keeping? Ball comes in. Header's great. Header's great. Down into the ground. Argument for the keeper being able to do better. I think he sees the ball go down. And this is what they always say. If you head the ball down, it's going to confuse the keeper. The ball headed straight down into the ground, bounces up and goes sort of into the top corner. I tell you what, the marking and the keeping is poor, but you have to credit Ten Lin because it's a very, very good header and a good goal. And against the run of play a little bit, the favourites lead. And that will be interesting to see if it causes any kind of change in tactic. I don't think it will, because if Malaysia had come into this game, yeah, the direction of the header was fantastic. Anytime you head the ball down, that's what they always say, that's what they always teach. If he heads the ball there directly, with the same pace on it, directly to the corner where it ends up, I think the keeper saves it. But the fact that he heads it down, the keeper just stumbles a little, it just confuses him. And it ends up going into that top corner. Good ball in, good header. But that's a annoying one for Malaysia to concede. No excuses for that. Yes, both teams qualifying for the Asian Cup. Vietnam, though, expected to go further, you'd say. Expected to do more. And Malaysia will feel that that is harsh, but I tell you what, that's the difference between a good side and a great side. If you can be on the back foot but still take the lead, and that seems to have galvanised Vietnam slightly as they push forward again here, and lots of space opening up. Brendan Gann, you see what I was saying earlier, he's just dropped up back into that centre-back position. The work rate is insane. Great ball forward. Ooh, swung into the box by Vietnam, and almost half a chance there for the keeper to potentially make another mistake, but he does all right this time. What do you think of Avram Grant joining Zambia? I saw this. I was speaking about this. In fact, I was speaking about this yesterday. In many ways, I can't believe it. As you know, in terms of club football, I'm a West Ham fan in terms of the English club team that I support. And all I remember about Avram Grant is him taking us down. But he has had success in Africa before with Ghana, hasn't he? So we'll wait and see. I don't think that he's the greatest manager in the world, but fair play to him, still getting a gig. And we'll wait and see what he can do at Zambia. They're by no means a poor side. Azam on the ball now. That right-hand side for Malaysia is where they're getting the most success, but not that many kind of shots on target, not many clear-cut chances to convert coming from that wing. That will be a free kick, will it? Yes, it will. And is this going to be the first yellow card of the match? It's a foul on... Is it Wilkins? Van Tuan's been given a straight red. Sorry, I've been so confused by that. That seemed like such a random challenge. Oh, he'd been booked earlier on. I hadn't seen this. Vietnam, they're down to 10 men. Van Tuan has been sent off. It was Dominic Tan who was fouled. Vietnam are down to 10 men here. Second yellow. That is, in my opinion, a second yellow. Oh, it's harsh, actually. I've just seen it again. That's harsh. That's a harsh second yellow. And the number 9 has been sent off. And Vietnam, they're down to 10 men. Need Corbin on. Corbinon's a great player. He's a great player. Any team, any national team, you know, that has a player like that and then he's not available, does make a big difference. They've got a few key players missing, haven't they? Talk about Zambia, you've got to feel for Enoch Mwepu being, it's terrible. What a promising young player he was. Such a shame for him, but you know what? It's better. You've got to kind of take the positives. At least kind of he knows now. King Corbinon, as I call him. Or King Kong Corbin. Big, towering, physical player. Red card, second yellow. Is it a second yellow? Was that a second yellow card offence? And will that turn the tide here? Well, I think Malaysia will definitely try and go forward more as the ball swung into the box and cleared away. Oh, what a first half we've seen. We've seen a goal and a red card straight away. Malaysia, you've got to say they'll fancy themselves now. Don't worry about this, by the way. This little red. Where is it? If I point to it, don't worry about that. Yeah, there's a red card. Yeah, we're going places. There's a red card here. I've got to be honest. I think that second yellow is harsh. I think that's a harsh second yellow. And now, the 66% of you who backed Malaysia might be feeling a little bit more confident. The ref's just gone over to speak to Makari has also just been booked for Malaysia, but the referee has gone over to speak to the Vietnamese bench here. I don't think their protests have been too violent, but nonetheless, anyone that's playing against Eswatini. Sure that's. I think that's harsh, if I'm honest. So Van Tuan will miss the game against Singapore, but more importantly, in many ways for Singapore, is this game and whether or not, you know, Vietnam can beat Malaysia, because. Alright, Van Tuan might not be able to play, but you'd still fancy Malaysia to beat Singapore. But now, in this game, you can't be so sure that they'll get the win here as the ball swung into the box. It's gone all the way to the back post! Oh, it's a poor finish in the end, actually. I'm just looking at the AFCON qualifiers to give you a proper answer. Obviously, Somalia, given Ilyas's comments, and knocked out by Eswatini. I'm always interested to see Satome Principe play and see what they can do in these tournaments, but they always kind of flatter to deceive a little bit, if we're honest, don't they? So, I'm not sure. I tell you what, I'm really interested. One of the key things that I'm interested for in terms of AFCON qualifiers is Group C, because Kenya obviously banned from qualification, so either Burundi or Namibia are going to make it, which is going to be really interesting. Obviously, Egypt are in a group where they're currently bottom, but all teams on 3 points. I think they'll probably still progress. Just any kind of smaller teams getting through would kind of be ideal. Vietnam push forward again. They've got the ball down in the right-hand corner. Ivory Coast, of course, the only team that have actually qualified because they're hosting the next AFCON. But I would say that group where either Namibia or Burundi go through is what I'm going to be keeping a close eye on. A bit of a fairy tale story for those two sides. So there's about 8 minutes to go to half time. Niger lose twice to Algeria, so it's a chance for both teams to bridge a gap. Absolutely, yeah, Tanzania and Uganda for sure. Yeah, it would be good. It's really good to kind of get some representation for different regions. To be honest, we just want to see a good tournament, don't we? Last AFCON was phenomenal. We want to see that again, and see the quality of sides continue to improve. Equatorial Guinea and sides like that, for example. Oh my goodness, what a save! Well, that came out of nowhere. There was a chance there for Vietnam. The ball whipped in really fierce, and it was just flicked on by the Vietnamese forward, and it forced a good save from the keeper. Well, they're going to keep pushing here. They're going to keep pushing. Oh, in fact, who does it come off of? Yeah, well, Tam Tai it was who got the connection on it, and it is a corner to Vietnam. If they could make it 2 here, that would be a huge gut punch. Oh my goodness. Oh, I thought I was going straight in that set piece. Decent effort. Decent effort. There's Vietnamese. Yeah, I mean this... The quality of pitch isn't great, I won't lie. It doesn't look phenomenal. Which team do you think that suits better? Probably neither, really. Hong Kong winning the whole thing. Wouldn't that be fantastic? Yeah, and Ilyas talking about the CONCACAF Cup. It was brilliant last time, wasn't it, to see how well Eritrea did in that tournament. It would be good to see those small African tournaments taking place again. CONCACAF Cup, of course, was last year. It would be good to see CONCACAF come back too. 5 minutes to go, plus added time then. Has anyone's predictions changed based on the first half? With Vietnam 1-0 up, but down to 10. They're allowing Malaysia to have the ball here. Oh, but Malaysia can go forward, and there's a slip in the defence. Just lacking that killer punch at the minutes. The ball is whipped back in. Oh, what a save! That is a top save. That is a world-class save. The ball was whipped in. And Van Lam has made an incredible... I thought the goal lights were coming back out. An incredible save. The ball's whipped in. Phenomenal. The header is excellent. It's going top corner. And he just gets a hand to it. I don't know how he does this. It's great keeping. Oh, it's a phenomenal save. And nothing comes of the corner. What a save that is. What a save. It's a great save. I don't think that... I'm not going to use the words keep them in the game, but I think it is important for Vietnam to not concede, because as soon as they do, that's got to be a card as well. I think Dominic Tan's about to be booked here. It's a yellow card for Dominic Tan. That was a foul. That is a yellow card. Oh, it's going to be interesting to see, isn't it? The second half. What Malaysia can do. They need to step it up again. That's definitely a yellow card. What they can do in terms of stepping it up a gear. Because they need to push forward, but they can't leave too many gaps for Vietnam. You don't want to go 2-0 down to a side with 10 men, despite their qualities. I suppose one thing that's not too bad from a Vietnamese perspective is, of course, it's one of the forward line that's been sent off. So that won't negatively impact their defensive shape too much. all the AFF teams playing attacking football. That's what I love about it as well. You know, it's almost bonkers football. The tactical defensive side is really not there anywhere to the same extent as you see in certain regions. And that's what I quite like about some of the smaller African teams as well. It's just about all-out attack, and just the style of football is so enjoyable to watch. And really, that's what football's about, isn't it? Malaysia, the high press continues. They're trying to put Vietnam under pressure here, and I think that I tell you what, they forced it out. It's a throw-in to Malaysia. Lee Tuck on the ball. It's just giving it away. But they nick it back here. This is a battle. This is a battle. I think a lot of the play is going down the right-hand side. FIFA Arab Cup will be back in 2023. That would be fantastic to see as well. That was a really enjoyable tournament last time. I think Somalia, now they've got rid of that manager, Ilyas, you know. I think a lot of it does come down to management. Who is the manager now for Uganda, Matt's channel? Vietnam coming forward here. It's you know what, it's decent play. They've just bought a few yards. So it was a 3-4-3 originally for Malaysia, but I think they're going to change now to a different system, because you don't need 5 at the back. You don't need 3 and then 5 at the back when you're up against 10 men. You know, it is just a striker that's come off. So the Vietnamese system looks relatively unchanged. So it looks like it's just the 3-4-2 now instead of 3-4-3. Or is it actually? Yeah, it is. It is the 3-4-2. Miluten, the manager of Uganda. I don't know too much about him, to be honest. Got the best out of Patson Daka. Or maybe there's half a chance. And Somalia, they desperately need a proper manager. The last one was a bit crazy. Oh, what football! Oh, it's a phenomenal save again by the Vietnamese keeper. Oh, a strong hand. Brilliant play again from Malaysia. But what a save. Man of the match so far, definitely, yes, Van Lam. As you can see, Oi Kim in the chat, Van Lam. Again, the defending's not even that bad. It's just good skill from Mukhtar. It's good play. And it's a great effort. That is a top draw save, getting down low. And it's really close to him. You know, sometimes those are the hardest ones to stop, and it's so close to your frame. But it's a phenomenal save. Phenomenal save. Ahmed says, Iraq was the worst Iraq team I've seen in my life. Well, hopefully they can pick up a little bit in the future and get some better results. Long throw comes in. It's aimed towards the Gan, and the ball has dropped here, and that's going to trickle out for a corner. Faisal's screaming for a penalty there. I don't think he believed it either. Corner for Malaysia. This is not going to be the last action of the first half, but it's close to that. Looks like they're kind of crowding around the keeper a little bit. Referee's just said, let's just calm down. So there's 3 minutes of added time. We're into the first minute of that, but it's probably not started yet. We're probably only about 20 seconds into that now, if he adds the time on. Lee Tuck whips this in. It's an in-swinger. It's headed away well. Drops to Faisal. Whip back in, cleared again, away. That drops. Who's this? Wilkin, is it on the ball? That's good play. There's so many players in the box for Indonesia. Sorry, for Malaysia. It's kind of crazy that this is 1-0 to Vietnam, really, based on the play in the first half. And of course, them being down to 10 men, you'd expect Malaysia to continue to dominate the ball in the second half. It's going to be uncomfortable for Vietnam, this. But so far, they've not been breached. Shahrul into... Is that Mukhtar? And that's going to be a throw. It's right in the corner. I think that this will be the last action. Azam looks like he's going to go over and take the throw in here. And That is in. It's into Tuck's feet. It's a good throw, but he loses the ball. He should have done a little bit better there. Comes in with a scything challenge. Referee says he's kept the ball, but Vietnam are on the ball now, and the counter-attack chance is on. Can they do anything? It's good pace defensively to get back, and they win a free kick. It's good play. Uganda's manager is from Serbia. It'd be interesting to see what he can do then. Iraq have a new manager from Spain with Luis Enrique's help here. Wow. Hopefully he can pick up. It's an incredible dive from the Vietnamese player here, trying to get sort of a card or something. Nothing in that. Cheryl. Nothing in that. Last action of the first half will be from Vietnam to deliver this ball into the box. Why not? Get the players up. Can they create a chance? What can they do here? Thank you to everyone who's joined us throughout the first half. It will be great to see you in the second half. We're going to take a very short break when it goes to half time, and then come back and talk through our thoughts of the first half. Van Howard is finished. Show never gets old. You've got to enjoy it. You've got to enjoy it. Vietnam, it's been such a strange half for them. They've got the lead, but are they going to be happy or unhappy going in at half time? I think as soon as you're down to 10 men, it's all about 3 points. And they actually just take it short, and that is it. It is half time. We've got a little bit, not nasty, but it's certainly been a fierce battle so far in this game. It is half time. It is 1-0 to Vietnam. But there has been a red card, and so they've changed the shape, and it will be really interesting to see what Vietnam and Malaysia can do in the second half. Keep the chat going. We're just going to take an extremely short break and then come back with a little bit of halftime thoughts, a little bit of thoughts in the second half, and answering some of your questions in the chat. We'll see you shortly. So it's half time in this one, and it is Vietnam 1, Malaysia 0. Let me just catch up with the chat. Who would like to see Elkin Baggott play in Indonesia in the March window? It's been good to see Elkin Baggott play for Indonesia. And that kind of leads on actually to, do you see AFF players could be good enough to play in a European league? I think it would be tough for potentially some of the AFF players to play in like a top European league, like the Premier League or La Liga or something like that, with the exception of, you know what, it's tough. It's actually really tough to say who could kind of play at that level. But certainly you look at the quality of some of these players from these nations, and they are good enough to play in probably like the second tier of some of these countries. Certainly some Vietnamese players, some Indonesian players, and some Thai players, probably my kind of key picks. And then you would say there's probably like the top Malaysian players. But equally, you know, I'm not sure kind of what the salary's like for Malaysian players that play for like JDT. They're playing in their home country. The attendance is crazy. You know, so it's difficult, isn't it? I think that if you're a player for one of these teams and you've got a really good kind of conditions in your own country and you're a professional footballer there and the crowds are incredible, it's, you know, obviously you want to play in the top leagues, but would you want to leave like JDT to play for like a League One English team? Probably not, in my opinion. So it would be oh yeah, the Fandies as well. It's a great shout. Yeah, like Iksan, and in fact, one of the Fandies has just signed for someone in Europe, I believe. Yeah, so top Singapore players like that, and I also like is it Kwok for Singapore? But I think you'd have to be a young talent though to play for. And I mean, obviously there are players that have been nationalised or called up later that have played in the top leagues, but I'd still say, for someone kind of born and raised and played their whole career in AFF, it's whether or not you want to, really. Whether or not you think you can kind of hit that top level, or actually if you're quite comfy. Only beating Rwanda, Tanzania. It'll be interesting to see if Uganda can get on with that new manager then, despite his success at the last place. I've not seen that many managers get that much out of Patson Daka. So it'll be interesting to see if he could, then perhaps he can get the most out of that Ugandan side as well. Good attendance in Vietnam. Yes, it is very good attendance in Vietnam actually for this game. It's fantastic to see full stadiums, or nearly full stadiums. Certainly the main stand is pretty much full, which is excellent to see. Definitely win this. He's a very good manager. I mean, to be fair, I would actually say that one thing that this region's got is a few good managers, because I really like Shin Tae-yong as well for Indonesia, and I know he gets a lot of praise as a manager. So there are a lot of good managers in here, but definitely agree. Shamsuddin for KB in Belgium. Dion Cools, that was it. Dion Cools plays for a team in the Czech Republic. Don't think he's with the squad though, Dion. And obviously Indonesia have got Elkan Baggott, but he was, I believe, kind of born and raised in England, but is Indonesian by heritage. So there are players, but they're kind of few and far between. And I think, you know, if you could play it, I mean, fair play for playing. Like KV Kortyiga are a pretty good team. Belgian league's decent quality. But players like that probably couldn't play in the Premier League, and therefore you probably wouldn't want to play in kind of Championship and League One. Unless you were a really young player and you thought you could make that next step. And obviously I found out earlier doing my research that Tirasil Dangda briefly played for Manchester City despite never making an appearance. Which is really interesting. I just want to say a quick word to everyone who's been in the chat, everyone who's voted in the poll, and everyone who's just generally kind of supported the channel throughout 2022. We are nearing the end of the year, but it's been a really enjoyable year, and I'd like to thank each and every one of you for engaging with the channel, saying hi, likes, comments, everything, criticism, constructive or not, nonetheless, and obviously all the positives as well. It's been really enjoyable to to just kind of talk about what we love to all of you, and I hope you enjoy what we do, and we're going to try and keep improving and keep getting better, and we hope that 2023 is full of kind of more enjoyable content as well. So I just wanted to say thank you to everyone for that as we look ahead to the second half, which should start in just a few moments' time, probably 2 or 3 minutes away now, given the additional time. And my overall views and what I think tactically the managers should do, it's going to be really tough. I wouldn't change the shape if I was Vietnam. I would potentially change the system to sit back slightly, maybe play a little bit more direct. So I'm not sure if they've got anyone that they can bring on to hold up the ball slightly better up front. And it might be more of a 5 than a 3 in the second half. But the system I wouldn't particularly change. If I was Malaysia, though, I'd look at it and I'd say, can we get a few more players forward here? Can we do a little bit more to create chances? They've got wide a lot and created 2v1s against the wing backs, but not a lot's come from it. They've had a few chances, one from a delivery and a good header and a good save, and another from a good bit of play, but really they had a lot of that game against 10 men. They even controlled the game when it was 11 versus 11 and didn't have that many chances on goal either. Put in the chat your final score predictions, given that it's currently Vietnam 1, Malaysia 0, but Vietnam are down to 10 men. Are we going to see another red card in this game as well? I think that there is every chance that we will. The game could get a little bit spicy. We will see. Just a few minutes away here from the start of the second half. Got plenty coming up in 2023. Arab Cup. In fact, let me get the... Can I get the calendar up? DNQ calendar. Yes, I can. Always starts in November 2021, which was a long time ago. Calendar's just loading, and then I'll run through some of the stuff that we've got. Chan says 2-1 to Malaysia, fancies that comeback. Not against it. Not against it. In 2023, in terms of tournaments, we've got the Arabian Gulf Cup, as has already been mentioned. AFCON qualifiers, the beginning of CONMEBOL World Cup qualifiers, CONCACAF Nations League, Euro 2024 qualifiers, the Gold Cup, Under-20s World Cup, Under-20s AFCON, Under-17s AFCON, potentially the Asian Cup. Women's World Cup as well is next summer, potentially SAF Championship. So all sorts really. And AFC World Cup qualifiers start next year as well. And we have put in that there is supposed to be the CONCACAF Cup as well. So we will see what that brings. But lots of things on as well. Will you do... Why is it a two-legged final? That's a very good question. There's quite a few tournaments like this in Asia that are two-legged finals. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, that the AFC Champions League is also a two-legged final. So it really is just something that's kind of quite popular in this region, which I'm not against. Will you do a watch-along for Thailand versus Indonesia? Potentially, yes. It's in 2 days' time, isn't it, on the 29th. So potentially, and I've penciled in watch-alongs for the final. Both legs of the final. Definitely the first leg should be fine. The second leg might be able to do. But there'll be... Well, we've not actually done too much kind of content. We just did the preview. And then we've not done too much kind of since then on this tournament. But... based on some of the kind of feedback and the engagement on this watch along, it's been great to see. So we'll do. There's definitely going to be a preview for the Thailand-Indonesia game, and there will also be for Indonesia versus Philippines. But we'll try and do as many watch alongs as we can. Have you played Mario Strikers Charge Football? I don't think I have. Is this an online game or is this a PC game or on the Nintendo Switch? No, I haven't played it. Yeah, the two-legged format, obviously meaning that you don't have to have one host nation because it's been quite difficult, and you kind of seen that with the Asian Cup as well, haven't you? Really, with obviously the change in location because of COVID-related stuff and the zero tolerance. So. It was a game that came out on Nintendo Wii. You know what? I've never even heard of it, which is probably a sin. So I do apologise. Most games that have come out on Nintendo Wii have come out on DS, haven't they? I'm sure that they'll release a version for the Switch as well. Players coming back onto the pitch for the second half. Who is going to win this one? We've had over 500 votes in the poll, which is fantastic to see. So thank you to everyone who's voted. Make sure you get your votes in. I'm going to lock the vote down. Actually, I probably won't. I was going to say I'll lock it down in 5 minutes, but I'll probably leave it open. Can you change your opinion? I'm not sure you can on a YouTube poll, so we'll see. But nonetheless, it will be very interesting to see if there's a change of system. There is a substitution. Nur Hakim coming on for Malaysia. Yeah. So Nur Hakim has come on at left wing back. Not sure who's come off, sorry. I know someone whose family roots are in Vietnam. Are you therefore cheering on Vietnam? Matt's channel. Oh, Ravintarin it is who's come off. Ravintarin has come off. Nur Hakim has come on. So it will be interesting to see if he can provide a little bit more. Sort of, I also like Malaysian food. Well, therefore it's difficult, isn't it? Yeah, I quite like a lot of food from that region actually. Thai food in particular. Good start to the second half from Vietnam. They got the play underway and 4 or 5 passes in, and they've got half a chance to deliver something here. Ends up with just a goal kick. Match channel is neutral regardless. Not against it. Seems like Vietnam goes 4 at the back. Let's just see as the ball looks to go forward here. Is that a 4? Yep, it might be actually. I think you might be right. Lee Tuck on the ball, delivers it. Not a great ball to be honest on his weaker side. Ah, that's good play from Vietnam to try and get forward here. And they're in down the wing, but Brendan Gan uses his athleticism well. Clears that. Forces that ball long. Ilyas, a bit of a thoughts on Arsenal this season. Well, Arsenal have been very good in the Premier League, haven't they? And it would be interesting to see if they can kind of progress and make it so that when they do eventually play Man City, I believe in February time, or maybe even April, I can't quite remember when it is, that is actually something's on the line for that game. First chance on Hakim to kind of get something in the box, and it's poor. It's well read. Now Vietnam, I wonder how attacking they will be in this second half. It does look like they've got to that 4 at the back system. Ball is out with the left back. Surprised that they changed system really, but then again we'll see. Manager will know more than I do about his individual players. Ilyas was at the World Cup, I believe. 5-3 5-3 5-3-1 or a 5-2-2 at times. I think they're just going to try and play a versatile system, really. Got half a chance here, good play. Be interesting to see if Malaysia kind of change their system and commit more players forward. It's great to see so many of you were at the World Cup. It's brilliant. Brilliant. See, I was out in Doha, but in March to watch OFC World Cup qualifiers, not for the World Cup itself. I'd had my Doha experience 9 months beforehand. How was it as a tournament? Obviously, many of you went out to Qatar. There was lots of criticism of Qatar from many media outlets. What was your overall views on the World Cup and how it was? See, lots of positives about it as well. Grateful for that experience. I enjoyed thoroughly. Good. I can only speak of my experience in Qatar as an individual, and it was very nice. I had a very good time. Malaysia can't get caught out here. They're obviously trying to play well. Brilliant, upbeat, civil, organised, overall experience. Good. I'm glad. I'm glad that everyone had a good time that managed to get out there. I think there was lots of criticism from kind of Western media outlets about some of the wider issues, but I think actually the tournament itself was quite well conducted. And lots of people had a very good time. Malaysia get the ball forward, but that's wasteful. And again, they kind of continue that trend of not managing to really cause too many troubles. Any questions that have been asked of the Vietnamese goalkeeper have been answered so far, 50 minutes in. Praise the World Cup from a fan point of view, Metro this way. Vietnam on the ball, pushing forward. Not bad play. They're in a decent position here. That's a good ball forward as well. Cut out in the end. Vietnam playing well here though. You wouldn't say for sure that they're down to 10 men. Oh, it's a mistake! It's a mistake at the back. It's a back pass. There has been a red card. Yes, Vietnam are 1-0 up, but down to 10 men, 2 yellow cards in the first half for Tuan Han. I believe it was Tuan Han. Oh, poor back pass there, and there was half a chance for Vietnam to try and make it 2. All the time is not on, I do apologise. Thank you for noticing. Vietnam whipped the ball in. Attempted bicycle kick. And Malaysia push forward. And the timer should now be working. Do apologise for that, well noticed. Yeah, there was some poor communication at the back there. Malaysia can't afford to do that. There have been no further subsequent goal lights or celebrations. But you can change that by smashing that like button, smashing that subscribe button as well. Oh, mistake again from Malaysia. And Tien Lin is on the ball for Vietnam. It's a beautiful switch of play. They're outnumbering the defence here, Vietnam. What can they do? Oh, they've just delayed, and Malaysia have got good numbers back. Tan Tai whips that ball forward, but that's just going to go out for a goal kick to Malaysia. They could have just moved that a touch quicker, I think. Just a touch quicker, Vietnam there. Well, they've actually started the second half probably the better side. They've had 520 votes, which is fantastic to see. Still 65% of people fancying that Malaysia win. Is he offside there, Hakeem? Irrelevant anyway, the ball trickles away. How many games have you watched of this tournament? I've watched most games actually, apart from when I was out yesterday watching Boxing Day football in the UK. So I didn't watch either game yesterday. So I missed the Thailand and Indonesia wins. But other than that, I've watched certainly most games. Highest vote numbers, surely. Yes, indeed. Just went to the Havant and Waterlooville versus Eastbourne game yesterday, which was entertaining, although quality at times was lacking. Certainly the credit to Vietnam, I'd say, would be that it doesn't look like Malaysia have 10 men here. It's So switch the ball over. That's a stunning ball. Faisal just unable to quite get that under control, and Vietnam clear away. Long down the pitch, and it is a 5-3-1 system that they look to be employing in the second half. Still 3 at the back for Malaysia. I wondered if they try and change up the system. Ooh, they get a little bit lucky there, Malaysia, and they've got the ball out to the right-hand side to Azam. Whips it in. It's not a bad delivery, and that's goal bound, but that's not going to trouble the keeper. By Van Lam. On the ball now. He's got his arms up. He's saying, what's going on? I've got no options here. Of course, they're down to 10 men. He's going to look for 10 Lin with the long ball. That's poor. That's poor from both teams. Allowing the ball to bounce there from the keeper's kick from his hand seems crazy. And it is a free kick to Malaysia. Looking to attack down the left-hand side this time. Again, that ball forward towards Faisal, who does get there. And he's won himself a throw. He's done extremely well there. Yeah, there should be a FIFA or a PES World Cup game always. There always should be. And the 2022 game, I'm sure, would have been excellent as well, with all the new PS5 and systems like that. If they'd have done that, I'd have got a PS5. Again, just talking about, 2010 and 2014 games were great. Such a shame they've not done any since. See what, Vietnam are trying hard to play out here, but they're struggling to. They can't really seem to get the ball out. Every player behind the ball. You can't really play like this for an entire half. But they do have a free kick in their own defensive third. Yeah, they seem to... FIFA, I think, decided a few years ago that Ultimate Team was its main way of making money. And so, unfortunately for us fans of the 2010 and 2014 World Cup games, they just do Ultimate Team add-ons now. It's just gone downhill rapidly, unfortunately. .56 minutes on the clock. This could be a long second half for Vietnam. So they play the ball, try and play the ball out. Sierra Leone or Guinea-Bissau to qualify for African Cup of Nations, bear in mind. GB got an away draw. Not sure. I think Guinea-Bissau have been doing alright recently, haven't they? Even against some of the stronger sides, they've done pretty well. But I think Sierra Leone, they did well at the last AFCON. They've got a good team as well. I'd still say, it's difficult to kind of rule them out. But the AFCON qualifiers can be weird sometimes with the teams that qualify. Here's half a chance. They're going to give that free kick? No, they played the advantage. I tell you what, they should have just let the ball go there. There's a foul on the Vietnamese striker. Advantage was played. Could have just blown up for a free kick anyway, but then the striker should have just said, no, we want the free kick. I'm not going to play the advantage here. And they didn't, and he eventually got dispossessed, and nothing came of it. And now Malaysia are on the attack. They're down the left-hand side. They're playing down this side a little bit more now with the substitution they made at half-time. They seem a bit more confident going down that wing. It really is a sea of red back there. Yeah, AFCON qualifiers. They are through the preliminary round, which saw a number of teams knocked out. Still some teams progressing. Oh, a substitution, a big substitution as well. Because coming on is Safawi Rashid. Makairi comes off, Safawi comes on. This could be big. This could be a big sub. I think that he has got that just added level of quality that can maybe unlock the door. Ooh, it just seemed a bit of an entanglement. What's happening here? What's happening here? Looked like there was a bit of an off the ball there. Two players challenged for the ball. Was it Azam? The fans certainly reacting like there was something. There's no way you can give a penalty. There's no way you can give a penalty here, surely not. If there's an off-the-ball incident that's outside of the box because it's off the pitch, I'm not sure you can give a penalty. It is a penalty. It's a penalty to Vietnam. I've got to see this again. What is that for? Alright, there may have been something off the ball, but were they not off the pitch? I must have missed something here. There seems to be some general confusion. Lots of Malaysia players around the referee. I'm not sure why that's a penalty. It's certainly not a foul on the pitch, right? Down the left wing, the Vietnam player skips the ball past the Malaysian. I believe it comes off the Malaysian, which is why he's trying so hard to get back and stop it going out for a corner. He slides and clearly clears the ball, and then the two players are embroiled off the pitch, swirling towards the advertising board. But for me, as soon as they're off the field of play, if there's contact between them, if they kick off, if there's a bit of nasties, a bit of handbags, that doesn't mean that it's a penalty. It's an off-the-field incident. No? If there's an off-the-ball incident in the box, it's a penalty. But they're off the pitch. So you surely can't give that as a penalty. Well, maybe we're going to get some goal lights. I've got to say, I'm confused about that. I'm curious about that. Yeah, Stephen Corker, eligible for Sierra Leone. Right, we're going to see it again here. The Malaysian player skips it. Yeah, it's going off the pitch. It's going out for a corner. Oh, that's a terrible decision. Azam clears the ball quite comfortably here. And Van Gaal, who we've spoken about, but for me, Van Gaal fouls Azam as Azam clears the ball. Azam clears the ball. The elbow comes in. That's never a penalty. That's never a penalty. It's a red card for Azam! It's a red card for Azam. Wow. Now, it might be a red card, right? I can't say for sure that it's not a red card if there's fighting off of the pitch and Azam responds and retaliates and elbows or punches or knocks or anything. The linesman's clearly seen something off the pitch here that means that it would be a red card. It's now 10 versus 10. But it can't also be a penalty. It can't be a penalty. If it's off the pitch, it's not a penalty. The foul is on Azam in play, in my opinion. Azam clears the ball. Gets the ball 100%. It's not even close to a penalty. There can't be a penalty. If I miss something, someone tell me the rules. Because that's not a pen. Red card maybe. I've not seen it. I've not seen the off the pitch incident that means it could be a red card. But how's that a pen? Unless we need Peter Walton. We need something. Unless they come back onto the pitch and they're both on the pitch and then there's some afters. I've not seen a good enough angle. Certainly in play, when the ball is on the field of play, there's no foul. There's a chance Goal lights are ready. Goal! And it's 2-0 for Vietnam. Big celebrations, but big, big questions. And listen. I don't think that you can say that there's any dodginess going on. Straight in the chat, Chan comes in with rigged. I don't know, because of the red card earlier for the Vietnamese player, I don't think that it's the 2 yellow cards. You know, it'd be tough to say, oh, it's rigged, because that was a harsh decision as well. There might have been an off-the-ball incident that leads to a red card for Azam. But for me, there's no way that that can be a penalty. No way that that can be a penalty. It is converted. It's a good pen. It's a good pen. There's no issues with that. Who actually scored? Sorry, I've not even told you. The game looks like Barcelona. Barcelona versus Bayern. Oh, Quan Hai it was with the goal, with the penalty. It's a well taken penalty. Well, so now the advantage for Malaysia has gone because it's 10 versus 10. And also, it's 2-0 to Vietnam. That was such a weird decision. Who has the best fans in Southeast Asia? Well, that is tough to say because a lot of these sides have got big grounds and they sell them out, I will say. I tell you what, as a random shout for great fans, the volume for, and this is not necessarily the best fans, but the volume from the Laos fans was excellent in the game earlier, despite them losing. It was great to see them at home, and despite, you know, they don't get much success as fans, the atmosphere was great there. I think it's tough to pick one best though. Shahrul unable to control at the back post there as Malaysia push forward. You've got to say on the vote now, we've had 527 votes, 64% still backing that Malaysia win. Or backing that Malaysia win kind of before time. Now I think it will be extremely tough to see any way of that. I mean, it should be a decent game now, but Vietnam, it's 10 versus 10. 2 red cards, 2 goals. What a match to be doing a watch-along to. Listen to the commentary team who are doing the actual game. They're extremely confused by the penalty decision. I understand the red card decision. But I don't know how an off-the-field incident can be given as a penalty. If someone can look up the rules or tell me the rules, I'd love to know. I've got to say this result is currently very harsh on Malaysia, who have been in this game very good. Oh my goodness, there was almost a goal from 40 yards there. Malaysia have been very good in this game, and I think looking at this, whilst the scoreline's good for Singapore, you'd still say Singapore will be worried about this game because this final game against Malaysia, because Malaysia are good. They're a good team. Tan comes off, Dominic Tan, going off for Shami for Malaysia. So another substitution here for Malaysia. So both teams now are going to have quite funky systems of play. Vietnam, how are they 2-0 up? Sorry, like fair play, Vietnam, great side, right? How are they 2-0 up? They were the worst team at the start of the game. Then they scored. Then they went down to 10 men. Huang Doc's just been booked as well. This referee, there have been lots of cards, and Whether or not you kind of want to say about the decisions, whether or not it's rigged one way or another, I don't want to kind of suggest that. But there have been a lot of cards, and sometimes that's where the dodginess can be. 2 red cards, and I think it's at least like 4 bookings now. Lee Tuck plays it forward. It's well defended, to be fair, and it goes out for a Vietnam goal kick. Right, we're having a better look at it here. The foul is on Azam into the advertising board, and he kicks Van Hal. Yeah. For me, so there is definitely a kick out from Azam off the field after that incident. It was a subtle kick. And potentially, therefore, a red card. Potentially a red card. Speculative. But that is never a penalty. You can't give a penalty for that. I would actually say it's a free kick to Malaysia for the foul in play. And then you can send a player off for a reaction. Of course you can. There's nothing wrong with that. But that is a bizarre decision. I'd love some clarity on that. 10 versus 10. About 20 minutes to go here. I have to say that this is Vietnam's game to lose now. If you're new to the channel, drop a like, hit that subscribe button. Yes, we will be keeping an eye on the African nations competition in Algeria. Drop a comment in if you are new to the channel. Come and say hi. What do you think of that decision? That strange penalty, red card, double whammy that has given Vietnam this 2-0 lead. It's the Chan is the Championship of African Nations, I believe. Nothing wrong with the red card incident in my view, but I'm still so confused. I feel so harsh for Malaysia here. Malaysia have played pretty well, but you've got to give credit to Vietnam, I suppose, because they're the ones who have scored the goals. And they have a free kick now, just inside their own half. Seems to be some frustration from the Vietnam manager, is what I'm watching, but he should be pretty happy actually, because they've had a huge slice of luck with the referee's bizarre on-field decision to give them a 2-goal advantage. Oh, well, the referee was almost called into action again there, because the Vietnamese keeper almost lost it out to the striker and he went lunging in for the tackle, Van Lam, but just about got away with it. Whew, that would have been game on, because if he'd have nicked the ball away there, the Malaysian striker, you'd have had to say that would have had to have been another red card. We need VAR. VAR would have certainly overturned that penalty, and they'd have had a really good look at what seemed to be potentially a red card, but nothing clear-cut for me. Seems like a strange decision. Malaysia come forward once again. They've been the aggressors in this game. I've been really impressed with their determination, their high press. But it may end up meaning nothing. Will we see late drama? Final 18 plus any added time? I expect there will be. Just look up the IFAB. It's a direct free kick offence, and because the incident happens nearest to the penalty box, it turns into a pen. My only... Thank you very much for the rule. But I think that, just listening to the commentary in the game, so there is a strange loophole to this rule that because it's off the pitch, any off the field infringement, yeah, you're absolutely right, Hui Kim, with your comment in there. Direct free kick offence, because the ball is still in play. There you go. Well, thank you for clearing out the rule. My only criticism of that decision then, because it may turn out to be a worldly decision, and you can disagree with me on this because this is completely subjective. I think that I think Azam is fouled in play. When he slides in and wins the ball, I think that he is fouled, and that's why he kicks out. And therefore, I think that that incident precedes, in terms of timeline, the kick out, and therefore it should be a free kick to Malaysia. It's either a free kick to Malaysia or a penalty, and I suppose that that is completely subjective. But thank you very much for clearing up that rule, because I had never heard that before. I'd never heard that rule before. Chance on here for Vietnam. They're in a 3v2. Can they get the ball into the box? Oh no, that's well defended, tracking back. I think that's a crazy rule. I get it, but it seems odd. The trouble is with a rule like that, nobody knows about it. Nobody's heard of it. But here's a chance. Here's definitely a chance. Vietnam. Oh, it's a great block. It's a great block. They have a corner. That was almost 3-0 there. Hee Chan saying that's the dumbest rule. I do find it an odd rule. You think that the red card would be enough. Brendan Gann, I mean, the work rate from him, incredible there to put that block in. Absolutely incredible. Delivery about to come in. Ten Lin, can he get another goal here? You'd have to say with just under 15 minutes to go plus added time. Shahrul down injured currently, so there's a small break in play. But it is a corner kick to Vietnam. If this goes 3-0, you have to say it's good night, game over. Looks like Shahrul is going to have to be stretchered off here. But thank you very much for clarification on that rule. That was really useful. You know what? I've learned something today. I never knew that rule. What I find really interesting, I suppose it doesn't have to be a red card offence then. So what you're saying is an off the ball offence, whether it's red card or not, results in a direct free kick. And if it's off the pitch but closest to the penalty area, it's a penalty. And it doesn't have to be a red card. But in this instance, it also was. And there's no double jeopardy involvement because he's not made an attempt to play the ball. Fair enough. I suppose it's the correct decision then, but it seems like that must happen so rarely. And you've got to say it's a real gut punch for Malaysia, and Azam's let his side down a little bit because he didn't need to do that. I always think if a player kicks out, they're always letting their team down. Just heard confirmation from the commentary that I'm listening to, and obviously they have direct access to people that can go away and look at these things. 2016 that rule was added. So it is a fairly recent rule. It could peter out now, that is true. I'm hoping that it doesn't. I'm hoping that this game retains some of its spice, but you would have to say that really from now on it's how many Vietnam can score, and Ten Lin has a chance here, he cuts it back, it's got to be 3. It still should be 3. It's still in play. It's blocked on the line by Shahrul. Malaysia bodies on the line there to stop it being 3-0. You know what I quite like about the Vietnam manager is he, to me, screams nothing but total success. Because he looks... I don't know how that's not 3-0, to be honest. They've played that quite poorly. Ten Lin did fantastically. They should have done more. But any chance that Malaysia have to keep this game alive, and 2-0, the game is still alive, they will take. To double substitution, Quang Hai and Tuan Hai. Ten Lin comes off. Initial goal scorer. Probably be looking ahead to that Singapore match. So a double substitution for Vietnam, and the sting has been taken out of this game slightly by the referee's decision in the red card, but I don't think we'll have to kind of... Let's not take anything away from the referee. Let's look purely at Azam and what was he doing there, costing his team really when they had a huge chance, a huge chance. You'd have to say if he hadn't have done that, because nothing happened, by the way. It wasn't still in play. There was no real chance. Sergio Aguero is coming on. Sergio Aguero is coming on for Malaysia. But Azam has cost his team here. Malaysia had a real chance to get at least a point, and if they got a point in this game, Malaysia, that's you'd have to say that's not kind of good night Singapore, but it would be extremely tough for Singapore. Whereas now, tough. Yeah, Hui Kim looks exactly like the way Vietnam played at the start of our rise. Sit back most of the match, let fatigue get in, and then go hard at the end. I would say that Vietnam at the start of the second half, despite having 10 men, you couldn't tell that, you know, before it went to 10 versus 10, you couldn't really tell. They played extremely well, but you'd expect them to because they've got the best players. Is that... Ooh... Van Lam gets hold of the ball there. I thought there was an incident where that could be a penalty. I thought Sergio Aguero lives on, my friend, Alif in the chat. I thought that could have been a penalty. Would have been extremely soft as the ball was going nowhere near, but Van Lam, probably one of the man of the match players. Yes, he has got naturalised by Malaysia. He is born and indeed raised in Argentina. This Sergio Aguero plays for Malaysia, but lives in Kuala Lumpur. And scored, of course, in their last game. But can he come up with some Sergio Aguero-style magic? Interesting to see him, really, and it's interesting to see with kind of Lee Tuck and Safawi and things like that. I'm not sure Malaysia, without their players from JDT, I'm not sure that they know who their best team is. Sergio, I'm not making it up. Sergio Aguero does play for Malaysia. Yeah, he's playing for Barca and thought, you know what, I'm going to fake a problem so that I can go and represent Malaysia internationally. No, this 26-year-old Sergio Aguero has indeed been a naturalised player, but he was born in Argentina, and it'd be interesting to see if he can kind of bring an additional level of quality. Because I think that some of the JDT players who are quite clearly Malaysian, and either wholly Malaysian or Malaysian by heritage, are actually exceptionally good players. If it remains 2-0, Malaysia will be above Singapore on goals scored. But there's a huge chance as Quang Hai plays the ball through! It's a great goal. And out of nowhere, it's 3-0 Vietnam. 3-0 Vietnam. This has been the weirdest 3-0 I may have ever watched. I've got to say, if you are from Malaysia, you are watching this like, what? What is this scoreline? It's Huang Doc with the goal. Ryan spoke about him in the preview, but this is all about the assist for me and the interplay there. And that's our two top tier players to watch. It's all about the assist, wasn't it? Stunning. Who was it who got the assist? Didn't quite catch that. But that finish, exceptional. And it's 3-0. And it's kind of out of nowhere, but Malaysia pushing more and more and more. Oh, it's a lovely, just kind of hits it into the ground and causes that fizz up. It's a beautiful, beautiful pass through. Look at that. It's so good. It's so good. Such a good ball. Going high to Quang Duc. Yeah, lovely goal. Lovely goal. Still think Malaysia will get second in the group though. Well, yes, I do too, because I think that Vietnam 11 versus 11 will beat Singapore quite comfortably, and I think that Malaysia will go into the final game. This is just my prediction off the top of my head. I think Malaysia will go into the final game against Singapore ahead of them. Ahead of them. And therefore, I think that Malaysia will come second in this group. So I completely agree that Malaysia will come second. I've also been impressed with Malaysia, by the way, because this is 3-0. Just a little bit of quality difference in the final third. Other than that, it's been a pretty even game. Half a chance it could be 4. Oh my goodness, what a touch. Oh my goodness, what play. Is he waiting for support? Yes, he is. Sets it back. Blasted at goal. I tell you what, they're turning it up now. Exactly what you said earlier about this style of play, to just sit back, tire the opposition out, and then at the end really push forward. Another substitution. Tuan An coming on. And it's Quang Duc that comes off. I tell you what, we saw Indonesia doing their friendly with the CONCACAF side, Curaçao, and I know that Curaçao aren't Canada, USA or Mexico, but they're a bloody decent team. And we certainly predicted more from Curaçao in those games, but Indonesia beat them. So it'd be interesting to see if Indonesia against a European side, or kind of the mid-ranking, someone like a Bosnia or someone like that, how they would get on. I feel bad for Malaysia here in many ways. This result ultimately won't mean anything if Vietnam beats Singapore. Kind of a free hit for both. But they could have got more from here. And I think a lot of it comes down to that red card and penalty incident, like I say. It doesn't all kind of hinge on that, because ultimately Malaysia have played most of the game against 10 men, either with 11 or themselves with 10. And they've not managed to get a goal. So credit to Vietnam for that. But Azam, really, just a crazy, crazy decision from him. Here go Malaysia, though. They've got half a chance, and the ball squirms away, and it's going to be a corner. We're into the last 5 minutes, plus any added time we get here. Thank you very much for joining us on DNQ Football for a very, very enjoyable, somehow 3-0, 2 red cards, game in the AFF Mitsubishi Electric Cup. We definitely picked the right game to do, didn't we? What a game this has been. Malaysia whip the ball in. There's half a chance, a good save, but it breaks out. Should have done more with that chance. They just lack that quality in the final third, don't they, Malaysia? Just a little bit. And that's some of the quality that I think that some of their JDT players have, that they've just not quite had today. And that, I think, has been a little bit of a difference maker. Laos looked, good to have you with us, FM Ireland, firstly. And I thought Laos looked more than half decent. I think they should have got a draw. Moment of madness from their keeper in the last few minutes. Of course, leading to the 2-0 defeat. But I think from a Singapore perspective, you'll be thinking, we got away with one there because we were no good at all. And Laos, at home, got the crowd up. Thought the atmosphere was great. And I thought they deserved more from that game. Credit to them, because they've struggled, haven't they? And another substitution, the final substitution for Vietnam. Hung Dung is coming off for Huang Dui. Which opponents do you think San Marino can win on a FIFA match day? Anguilla? British Virgin Islands? Turks and Caicos Islands? potentially it, if I'm honest. Potentially it. Laos are unlucky, aren't they? Because didn't Billy Ketko get injured in the first game and has therefore kind of had to miss the rest of the games? Because he's quite a commanding player for them. You think they could... Oh yeah, Brunei and Timor, they could potentially beat as well. Myanmar have also been unlucky. They have. They really have. They've played well. Somalia, San Marino. I think Somalia would beat... With a proper manager, there's no reason why that Somalia team, given some of the players they've got now in their squad, couldn't be far better than they are and really go up in the rankings. It's difficult, you know, San Marino, bless them, they've had injuries and stuff like that, but they have played sides like Seychelles and St. Lucia recently and failed to beat them. They don't concede many to these teams. They are quite solid defensively, but still. I'm not sure. I don't know too much about that player that you put in there, Hoi Kim, but how old is he? Do they have a kind of good youth setup coming through this Laos side? Because it'd be good to see them improve across the next few years ahead of the next tournament, which I imagine we won't see next year. It'll be the year after. I think you've just put in that in there so that you're trying to get me to pronounce it. And you know that I somewhat struggle. Credit to both teams here for the hard work. 10 versus 10. It's a big pitch with only 10 players. They've both worked extremely hard. Here's half a chance. Oh, is that going to go out for a throw-in? Maybe a goal kick. 5 minutes of added time. We're just into that now. So it ended up with 558 votes. Some of those might have come in after the 3-0 scoreline. But thank you to everyone who has joined. Thank you to everyone who has been in the chat. We are into the final few moments here. Michael Weiss as management. We were talking about Myanmar. Yeah, I think it's difficult. Some of these managers can come and go quite quickly, can't they, in some of these tournaments? It's been good. I think you've already seen with Cambodia, it's been good to see Honda there for an extended period of time so you can actually kind of cement some stuff in the way they play. And of course that win over the Philippines for them was huge. And I think that they will expect to beat Brunei. I propose the San tournament. San Marino, Sao Tome, St. Kitts, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, San Marino can win that tournament. I think that you'd find that sides like, oh, it's a great play. There's half a chance here. It's just pulled wide. I think that was Safawi. Snapshot from him. Again, it's another chance, and it's another chance that goes to begging. Be interesting to see who would win that tournament. I think that St. Kitts would fancy themselves to have half a chance in that one, or even Sao Tome. 3 minutes to go in what has been a kind of crazy match, really. How long have we been on? Live. Oh yes, Saint Martin and Saint Martin. I love that. I love the fact that when it goes to the CONCACAF Nations League, you've got Saint Martin and Saint Martin in the same pot for the draw. One Dutch, one French. I do love the CONCACAF Nations League. It's a really great tournament, but I tell you what, the quality is in this tournament. In this game, look at Malaysia, 3-0 down. They're still the quality is far better. The tempo, the fitness of these players is excellent. I think that Sao Tome would. I do think it's difficult for Somalia, isn't it, at the minute? I think, you know, Seychelles are more than the sum of their parts as a team. They've been a team for a long time. Sorry, just 1 second. Vietnam pushing forward. It's a 2v2. They've got one more chance to try and make it 4. Looks like they're not overly fussed about scoring. Cut back inside. Move the ball across. They've now got 4 players back. They've tried something clever. Who do I think would win? Seychelles, Somalia, Sao Tome? It's tough to say. I think that Somalia in the next 3 years could be a really decent side, but they just need that infrastructure. They need that steady management. Someone that's not like that Peter de Jong guy who's a nutter. Just, I think across that. I thought they are two NTs though. National teams? St Martin are different. Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are different nations. Just the fact that they're called pretty much the same thing. Not actually sure geographically how close they are or why they're kind of both called that, really. I'm sure there's a history lesson in there somewhere. One of the last bits of play here is going to be a free kick won by Safawi Rashid for Malaysia to whip into the box. This has small significance actually in terms of goal difference is a big factor in this tournament. And we need, from a Malaysia perspective, a goal. From a Singapore perspective, we need a counter-attack and a Vietnam goal. And Vietnam, they won't particularly care. We are in to the final stages. Safawi Rashid to deliver. About 30 yards out, far on the right-hand side. Fast pace towards goal and it hit the side netting. I thought it was in for half a second. I thought we were going to have some crazy goal lights. He went for goal. Probably the last play of the match. Don't forget to drop a like on this video. It helps us out more than you know with the algorithm. It's been great to have so many of you with us throughout today. As we go into the final few stages, ball goes long, and that is indeed full time, and the game finishes. I'm on the same line. There you go. We are now at full time. The game has finished. It has finished Vietnam 3, Malaysia 0. Who do we think is going to progress then from the group? Ultimately, it's going to be Malaysia or Singapore. Who is your money on? Shall I run another poll? Let's do it. Who gets out of the group? Malaysia. Or Singapore. Thank you very much, Ilias. Thank you to everyone who has joined for this stream. And before you go, pop your vote in who you think is going to get out of the group. Will it be Malaysia? Will it be Singapore? If you have to go, then do go. I'll be on for the next couple of minutes just talking about the game as a whole, what I thought of it, what I thought of the refereeing decision. And also, we will be back very soon. There's previews. There's all sorts coming on this tournament. 100% for Singapore at the minute, but it's just the one vote. It's probably from Hardy. Who's going to get out of Group B? And immediately it swings after 2 more votes, 3 more votes, and all the votes are coming in now, 6 votes, and people favouring Malaysia. But people favoured Malaysia in this game, and they were unlucky. Total attempts, just looking at it on the screen, Vietnam 19 to Malaysia 16. The real difference, though, attempts on target. Vietnam having 8 attempts on target, Malaysia just 3. And that really was a big difference. Similar amount of fouls committed. 2 red cards in this game, 1 apiece. 2 yellows for the Vietnamese attacker, and a straight red and a penalty decision. That leaves Vietnam top of Group B with a goal difference of +9, yet to concede 6 points. Malaysia are ahead of Singapore on goals scored. Level on everything else, but they have played 1 more game. Singapore's 3rd game, of course, is also against Vietnam. And really, they need a draw, because that will force Malaysia to have to try and beat them. Otherwise, it will be very, very tough. They've got a week off now, the Malaysians. They can regroup, they can watch the Singapore game, hoping for a Vietnam win, and they can plan for who is going to play in that final game. A really interesting game, actually. I think man of the match for me, it's tough to say. It's really tough to say. Any of the goal scorers really played well. But I would actually say potentially the goalkeeper for Vietnam, because he was called on a few times in this game and made some really, really good saves at crucial moments, and that kept them in the team. The kind of villain of the story, unfortunately, is Azam. Clicked it wrong. So really, most people are thinking Malaysia will probably get out of the group. Hardy has, of course, voted for Singapore, which I like. But it's going to be tough. It's going to be extremely tough. That's all from us on DNQ. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and join us next time for certainly our preview of the Indonesia-Thailand game, and more to come from this tournament, and plenty more to come in 2023. Thank you very much, and as ever, I'll see you next time.